Hey everybody, we are taking a look at the histology of the adrenal gland. Adrenal, that means on top of the kidney, adrenal. It is an interesting gland because it's got a lot of layers. Let me point at the different layers. So from this, we're at 40x total magnification. From here's the outside, to here, that is the cortex. Cortex means outer layer. And even within the cortex, you've got 3 other layers, so we'll get to that in a second. So from here to here is cortex. The middle of the gland, that's medulla. So from here to here, that's medulla, where it's a bit lighter. And then here's cortex again. From here to here is cortex, because this cortex wraps all the way around. I can trace it all the way around. Keeps wrapping, wrapping. I'll just do this because it's kind of fun, actually. Keeps wrapping around. This is all still cortex. That's a big adrenal gland. Okay, and back to the start. So you can see that the cortex wraps all the way around the gland. Medulla would be everywhere in between. All right, so let's look at the adrenal medulla first, the very center here. I'm going to go to, where are we at? 100x. I'll keep us by the border between the cortex and the medulla so we know where we're at. So we're at 100x now. Let's go to 400x. Actually, I'm going to go back to 100. Now I can't tell where I am. All right, what I want you to know about the adrenal medulla, these cells here. So once again, this is cortex. And then you can see this dark line. That's the border from cortex to medulla. The medulla, in these cells, the cells that you find in the medulla, they're called chromaffin cells. chromaffin, chromaffin cells. They are regulated by the sympathetic nervous system. So there's neurons that come from the spinal cord, preganglionic neurons that extend from the spinal cord to these chromaffin cells. So this is part of the sympathetic nervous system. These, of course, are not neurons. These are endocrine cells, but they are stimulated by preganglionic neurons. So the adrenal medulla, just the medulla, not the cortex, qualifies as a ganglion. It's a modified sympathetic ganglion. So these chromaffin cells, they are stimulated by sympathetic neurons, and what they do when they're stimulated is that they release one of 2 hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine. You might know epinephrine as adrenaline, and that should hopefully now make sense because adrenaline, epinephrine is released from the adrenal gland. And just a quick aside, epinephrine and adrenaline basically mean the same thing. Epinephrine means on top of the kidney. Epinephrine, nephros is Greek for kidney, while renal is Latin for kidney. Or maybe I mixed up which one's Latin, which one's Greek. But renal and nephron both refer to something that's part of the kidney. So epinephrine, we're going to stick with epinephrine. These release epinephrine and norepinephrine. That's the adrenal medulla. Let's take a look at the adrenal cortex. In the adrenal cortex, we've got 3 layers. Well, actually, let me back up. The very, very flaky outside, well, it looks flaky because it's been cut, but this protective outer layer, that's the capsule. If you feel the kidney like a whole kidney, it's a bit dense. We have reticular fibers in the kidney that keep it dense. Reticular fibers are a type of loose connective tissue. So this capsule is made of that as well. That's just the very, very outside. Where we have the actual cell layers that produce hormones, that's going to be ranging from this darker line through here to here. All right, let's see if 400x will help at all with this. All right, here's that division. So these are chromaffin cells. Starting from here to here, it's kind of not like it's not that, it's kind of a gradual transition. There's no hard line. We see a hard line here, but we don't see any more hard lines as we go through. This narrow area from here to here where we see the nuclei that are more dense, that's known as the Zona Reticularis. The word reticular, let me go back to 100x, just means network, so it's not really descriptive. But zona reticularis is this narrow group of cells that's bordering the adrenal medulla. The zona reticularis produces androgens. Androgens are male sex hormones. While they're things like testosterone and dihydrotestosterone, they're male sex hormones because you see them in higher amounts in males, but everyone has them. Male, female, intersex, whatever. So even females produce low amounts of androgens. So when males produce high amounts of androgens, it's not coming from here, not typically. In most people, it would be coming from the testes, and we'll get to that later. But zona reticularis, the one closest to the adrenal medulla, this produces androgens like testosterone and dihydrotestosterone. This larger middle layer, which seems pretty light colored, like from here to here, I'm at 100x by the way, from here to here, this lighter colored area, think of these as bundles, and we've learned the term for bundle before. It's a fascicle. This is Zona Fasciculata. Let me go to 400x so you can see what it looks like closer. So these cells just take up a lot more space. It's a large area, it's called Zona Fasciculata. And Zona Fasciculata produces hormones like cortisol. It's a type of glucocorticoid. Cortisol is a steroid hormone. Actually, most of these are steroid hormones, but anyways. Cortisol is a steroid hormone that stimulates your long-term stress response. So it tells your body to kind of be alert and awake. Epinephrine from the chromaffin cells, that's like the short-term fight or flight stress response, very short-term. Cortisol is your long-term stress response. It's just like when you wake up at the beginning of the day and your body's just getting ready, cortisol levels go up. It helps release glucose to your bloodstream so that your cells can use it for energy. It does a lot of things just to get your body up and going. So cortisol is a super useful thing to help you stay alert. It's not useful in really high amounts. Say you've been chronically stressed and then that leads to you getting sick. That's probably because you have high cortisol levels. Cortisol produced in Zona Fasciculata. We're here at a very narrow region of cells. This is at 400x. Let's go back to 100. Where the cells pack together again, this is Zona Glomerulosa. Zona Glomerulosa. The word glomerulus means like a ball of something, and you can kind of see some ball-like structures here, but yeah. Zona Glomerulosa, it's the most superficial layer of the adrenal cortex. This produces a hormone called aldosterone. Aldosterone is a hormone that targets the kidneys. It tells the kidneys to absorb more sodium. So you retain more sodium. What's the advantage of that? Well, your body needs sodium, sodium ion, but by retaining sodium, that also makes you retain water. So it does a couple things there. Aldosterone produced in Zona Glomerulosa, it is needed for reabsorbing sodium from the kidneys. All right, quick recap. Outer layer, superficial layer, Zona Glomerulosa produces aldosterone. Large middle layer of the cortex, Zona Fasciculata, which produces, but what did I say? Let me restart. I think I messed up. Outer layer, Zona Glomerulosa produces aldosterone. Large middle layer, Zona Fasciculata, produces cortisol. Narrow inner layer of the cortex, Zona Reticularis, produces androgens like dihydrotestosterone. And then the very middle, that is the adrenal medulla that produces epinephrine and norepinephrine and is a modified sympathetic ganglion. Zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, zona reticularis, adrenal medulla. We go to the other side, it just repeats. Let me get my bearings. Yeah, if we go to the other side, it just repeats. Here's that border, adrenal medulla, here's the border, zona reticularis, zona fasciculata, zona glomerulosa, capsule. All right, Thanks for listening. Hope that helps. Let me know if you have questions. Take care.